What is up, everybody? Hope all is well. Today we are going to compare two popular options for van life. Over here we have a cargo van, and over here we have a minivan. Now there are a few different options when it comes to cargo vans. This one here happens to be a Ram Promaster. You can also get yourself into a Ford Transit or a Mercedes Sprinter. And of course, there are a lot of different options when it comes to a minivan. This one here is a Chrysler Town & Country. I actually love this van. You can get the Dodge Caravan. I think Chrysler now has a new Pacifica, which is the newest model of minivan that they make. And I think another popular choice for minivans is a Toyota Sienna. I think the Toyota Sienna is hybrid, so that maybe helps with your heat situation and colder temperatures and stuff like that. And of course, as you guys already know, these both have positives and negatives depending on your situation. So one of these might be a better fit for you depending on your own situation. And that is what we're gonna talk about in today's video, guys. Stick around. So when we talk about what van might be right for you, I would say probably the most important thing would be cost. And of course, the bigger cargo vans are probably gonna cost a little bit more than the smaller minivans. And if we're talking new cargo vans, obviously something like this, it's gonna start getting up there a bit. I think you can probably get into a brand new cargo van for 35,000 plus, maybe 35 to 50. You start getting into Mercedes and you're gonna spend even more money than that. And as far as I could tell, these vans seem to hold their value pretty good. I would say that changed in the past few years. They have been dropping in price, I have noticed. Unfortunately for me, I paid premium dollar for this thing, but you can get into them a bit cheaper than I did 3 years ago. So that might be something to watch out for. Are you gonna get into something now and the value is gonna drop a little quicker? In recent years, I'm not sure on that. And also, when it comes to cost, well, you gotta build the van, which in a cargo van like this, there's a lot more building to do than a minivan. And this is gonna easily cost you thousands. Obviously, the amount of thousands you spend is gonna be up to you. By the way, guys, just so you know, to save you a little bit of money, I recently made a video on why I did not insulate this van and why you might not have to either. So go check that video out for some money saving tips. Now let's talk minivans. Good thing about minivans, these things are all over the place and they are for sale everywhere. You could probably get in a decent town and country like this, you know, from 5 to 15,000, depending on your budget. Obviously, the more you can spend, it's probably gonna be a nicer van. Of course, building out a minivan is gonna cost much less than building out a cargo van. The minivan, you know, it's kind of got a finish already. It's already got panels, it's got a ceiling, so it's somewhat insulated. So the inside of the minivan already looks finished. So if you're just starting out, maybe you're not sure about van life and you want to give it a try, you don't want to spend a ton of money, maybe this is the option. Or you can go ahead, find an older van. Again, it's probably going to cost you a little bit more. Both options are good, even for new van lifers. So if you're thinking about van life, not sure where to start, maybe you want to get your feet wet first, maybe something like this minivan would be a better option. Maybe if budget isn't as big of an issue, maybe you want to jump right into a cargo van. But don't underestimate the minivan. These things are pretty cool. We'll get more into that. Now let's talk gas mileage. Obviously, plus goes to the minivan. That being said, for what this thing is, I don't think it's the worst in the world. I think I get about 14 to 18 miles per gallon in this thing. And obviously, the more weight you put into your build, you can get less and less gas mileage. Obviously, this minivan is way more efficient. I easily get more than 20 miles per gallon in this thing. And if you're traveling long distances, if you're crossing the country, that can add up to a pretty good amount of money. Moving down the list of pros and cons, we got space and storage. Obviously, space and storage is where a cargo van really shines. I can stand up here. I got plenty of room. I can actually build almost a full-size bed. I basically have a small kitchen built in here. Look at that, I got a little refrigerator, got a countertop with a sink, water tank in back, gray water under the sink. This thing here, it's kind of like a tiny house on wheels. very comfortable, very cozy. Obviously, a minivan is not going to have the same space and storage. As you can see, I'm on my knees just to fit my head in here. Unfortunately, I already tore the build out of here a couple months ago, but I had a trifold bed in here. So I did have a 4-foot wide bed, which wasn't too bad. I built it so I could fold it up, and it turned into a couch that I could use during the day. Another thing that wasn't so bad, my bed ended at the end here, and I had a headboard built up here. And as you can see, we got this pretty deep stowaway area right here. And I built my kitchen off the back of the bed right here. So I was able to build a little kitchen in this minivan. I think I had like an igloo cooler down there. I had a nice 5-gallon water tank with a faucet on it, and it worked pretty slick. I had a nice cabinet with a door on it. I could open it up and cook on it while still having enough room up front there for a bed. And this is what I love about these vans. This is pretty cool. We got all this storage, goes all the way across. This one opens as well, folds back flat. When I built the bed for this van, I kept it low enough where I could still sit up without hitting my head on the ceiling, and that also left me with a little room under the bed for even more storage. Honestly, if I was a solo traveler, putting in a lot of miles, touring around the country, I would second guess the cargo van and seriously think about doing a minivan. I think as a solo traveler, there is more than enough room in one of these minivans. The gas mileage is definitely going to be easier on the budget. For me and the wife were using it. We were camping and stuff like that. It gets a little tight, but not bad. I think it's great for 3-4 day outings. But I don't think as a couple you would want to use a minivan long term. The biggest issue for my wife, she just didn't like that she could not stand up in here. So she loves a cargo van. So this little van here is great for solo travel. Maybe not so much for a couple. I already kind of touched base on building costs. As you can imagine, a cargo van will cost more. When you get in a cargo van, nothing is finished off. You got a lot of raw metal showing and stuff like that. A lot of people will choose to frame everything out, insulate it, put wall boards and all that kind of stuff on here. Max air fans. I do have videos telling you guys why you might not have to do that and you could save some money, so go check them out. We're building a van. It's kind of easy. It's kind of fun. Just get some plywood, get some 2x4s, and do some designing and have a blast. After all, 2x4s and plywood, they're not too crazy expensive. Find yourself some reasonably priced mattresses and you're good to go. I almost left this out for the cargo van. I do have this big garage built back here. As you can see, I have it filled pretty full. And obviously, all this stuff is not fitting in a minivan. All right, guys, let's talk driving and parking. This is obviously a bigger, heavier vehicle. It's going to be a little more difficult to drive, I would say, because that thing is like driving a car compared to this thing. This thing has more of a truck feel. You start adding some weight in there, you got to kind of learn how to drive and get the feel for it. This thing here, it's great. It drives like a car. No problems whatsoever with driving this thing. Now, I will say this when it comes to parking. This is the shorter model cargo van. You can get a longer version as well. But the main reason I bought this short van is because I can actually park this cargo van in almost any parking space. So yes, the minivan, you will never have a problem parking. I will say in the 3 years I've been driving this across the country, I haven't had any issues with parking this either. All right, now let's talk about parking overnight. If you park this overnight, say at a truck stop, at a rest area, maybe at a Walmart parking lot, or wherever it may be, this thing is gonna stand out. Everybody is gonna know there is somebody sleeping in this vehicle. Especially when you have windows like this cut into it. It's obviously a camper. Somebody's probably in there. You might be able to get away staying overnight. More stealth in a cargo van that does not have windows. So is that a plus or minus? Do you want people to know you're sleeping in your van? I think sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not, depending on your situation. Now this thing here, like I mentioned, being a solo traveler, you can get away with parking this thing anywhere and sleeping in it. Nobody is ever gonna know that you're in there. as long as you're not being an idiot and making a bunch of noise and making a mess. Again, traveling with a partner, a wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, a little bit bigger bed is nice. I would definitely recommend our cargo van for people traveling as couples. And I can't say it enough, as a solo traveler, I think this is the way to go, man. If you're trying to be stealthy on a budget, it's hard to beat a minivan. I think when it comes to maintenance, it's probably gonna be a little bit cheaper to upkeep a minivan. The tires will be a little bit cheaper. I think just the general maintenance is gonna be cheaper. The good thing about a minivan, you can probably take this thing into damn near any mechanic in the world, and they will know how to work on this thing. And so far, the maintenance on this Ram Promaster, it hasn't been too bad either. Tires were a bit more pricey. It was maybe a bit harder to find a mechanic to work on it, but most mechanic shops will work on these Ram Promasters. That was kind of also one of my big deciding factors when picking the Promaster, was I knew I could take it to almost any mechanic anywhere. And that has held true. This has been at a couple mechanics here locally in town, and it has been in the shop out on the road. I haven't had no issues with people working on this thing. Now when it comes to resale, the internet is telling me that a cargo van build might fetch more money when you sell it. I'm not 100% sold that is true, depending on the build, I suppose. Like, I'm not sure, is this cargo van build here, is it gonna make this van worth any more money? I'm not sure. And a minivan build, well, it's not gonna be worth anything extra. It might hinder the sale even, because it's gonna be pretty basic. You're gonna build some platforms, throw a mattress in there, and call it done. So you're not really building out a minivan. There are some more extensive builds out there, but I think that's kind of rare. So when it comes to resale, a minivan build will not do anything for that. As far as safety, I'm not getting a ton of information on that. It looks like the minivans, they have your standard crumble zones like a lot of cars do, and that adds a nice safety feature if you get into an accident. Obviously, a cargo van has a little more size, but I think you're better off in an accident in a minivan than you are in a cargo van. This thing's got a pretty short nose in front of you. I don't know, me personally, just sitting in both vehicles driving, I feel probably safer in this thing in case of an accident. And I will say, for safety, this thing definitely sticks to the road a lot better than this thing does. When it comes to camping comfort, well, you can't beat the cargo van. Like I said, nice and big, you can stand in it. You got a kitchen. Like I said earlier, it's like a tiny home on wheels. Very comfortable for camping. When you're out camping in a minivan, this is more as a place to kind of sleep, maybe change, maybe hang out a little bit, but you're probably gonna wanna be more outside than staying in a minivan. At the same time, you can cozy up a minivan and make it nice. The wife and I, we had fancy mood lighting in here, and we played cards and stuff in there when it rained, and it was fine, just a bit cramped. I will say this, guys, the minivan is way more waterproof than the cargo van is. This cargo van, it has troublesome little leaks here and there. I'm always trying to chase them down. This minivan, it's old, it's never leaked before. Bottom line, guys, if you want the space and the comfort, and you're willing to put in the investment, the cargo van is probably the way to go. But if budget is more of a concern, you want better gas mileage, less money on a build, and you're just trying to get your feet wet when it comes to van life, the minivan might be a great option. And that is it, guys. I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped you out in some way. Let me know below in the comments. Are you team cargo van or team minivan? Now, I got stuff to do, and I'm sure you do too. We will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.